let's get going. We've heard it, you've said it, let's get this rig rolling. Move along, move along. We get it, you're tired of hearing about COVID, but it's still going, it doesn't care. Cases are up again, 106,874 daily as of right now in the US. It's still real. And yeah, if you're vaxxed, it won't kill you, but it'll fuck up your life, which is already fucked up enough. So wear a mask and move along, move along. We hear you. Fox News isn't covering the January 6th committee, but that's because they're not news. They're part of the reason we're having one in the first place. This is not up for debate because they're all on tape saying it. Move along, move along. We've heard it. You have the right to a gun, but the Second Amendment is about a well-regulated militia, not whether or not you have the right to own a fucking tactile missile. You don't, and you shouldn't. And no, the debate is not about government uprising. If it was, you wouldn't have a panic attack every time somebody kneels for the national anthem, Jethro. Guns make you horny. That's what this is about. Google's a thing. Opinions are like assholes. Fuck you. Eat a Snickers. Move along, move along. Like, I hear you humans. Who doesn't love shooting the shit, batting the breeze, chewing the rag? No one, that's who. I love a fucking kitchen table forum with the friends. It's a gas. It's like you're a parliament, but instead of affecting an entire nation, you're just pissing off your uncle. It's fun. It's like a game sometimes. But eventually, in any living room conference, the air gets too thick with bullshit, and it's time to open the window and move on to night drinks, and remember, we're all in the same room. You call it clearing the air. And have been using that little nugget since the 1300s, when philosopher and seminary professor at the University of Oxford, if you won't be a dick about it, John Wycliffe stated, winds of truth should blow away heresies and clear the airs of Holy Church, which is now full troubled. Did he coin it? Maybe. You want to do the work to find out? No, me neither. You know what it means. And it comes from nature, which is universal. It's contemporary. Fog fucks up your commute. Winds come in, clears the air, and then bam, you're back on road with the money that you saved, Gucci Mane. Lately, the world is getting... Not a lot of Gucci Mane fans here. Okay, skip. Lately, the world is getting foggy with everyone popping off whenever they want. And yes, I realize the irony, but hey, they pay me to talk, okay? What do you get when you go off? Reflux? We're moving on. And the internet is making it worse because anybody can have an account. It's free, and so are opinions. But it's getting out of control. The fog is getting too thick. And it all smells like bullshit. So hey, I think maybe it's time to clear the air before it kills us all. And it might be a little too late, but we should try, because that's better than nothing. And you know how I know that it's getting too thick up in here? Because now you're taxing farts. More specifically, because we got a surplus on everything but nuance around here. New Zealand has just unveiled a plan that will tax farmers if their total level of ass rip is too high. Anyone ever drove the Midwest knows that if you get enough farm animalia in the same space, the toot count is going to go up, and the air will be scented with a different kind of beef. It doesn't take a scientist to know that more buttholes in a room means a more robust bull snort accumulation. The clown belch is high, that's what I'm saying. And if you've ever gone on a field trip to a farm that you know that the scent of cheek squeak is noticeable at minimum, imagine if the sheep and cow count is higher than the people running the place, which, in New Zealand, it is. Currently, there are 5 million people living in Hobbiton, but there are 10 million cattle and 26 million sheep at any given time. And that's a lot of colon blow from the old meat nozzle, because you think your post-Thanksgiving music is epic? Those gut cheesers can blast grumpies at a frequency that'll make you emotional. Nearly half of the greenhouse gas in New Zealand comes from agriculture. And since China's middle class has grown, the demand for beef has too. So New Zealand answered the burger call and set aside a fuck ton of land for dairy cattle to make the beef. And dairy beef cattle honk poofers on average of 160 to 320 liters a day. That's 1,200 gallons if you want to be a dick about it. And it's not just stink ticklers either. They also burp. And in the game of global warming, cracking yokers also counts. That means burps. I learned that today. Cracking yokers. You go figure. The science of it all is that breakfast ghosts contain methane. And methane has more than 80 times the warming power of carbon dioxide during its first 20 years in the atmosphere. Over a 100-year period, it is 28 to 34 times as warming as CO2. And anyone who's ever been around cows steam pressing their Calvins knows that shit sticks around a while. Now, granted, methane is number 2. No, really, guys? Real? Okay, well then just fucking strap in. God. Can't even do a poop joke anymore? Pull the fucking beer out of your ass. All right. On the global warming contribution list, it is number 2 under CO2, but it's not by that much. And thanks to farmland backyard brown hazing, the fog's only getting thicker. So, the plan is to tax farmers in New Zealand who hit a certain threshold of ass yodeling from their cattle, and then to incentivize them for their troubles with new feed additives, including seaweed, which cuts down on butt trumpets, just FYI, in case your post-dining experience is breaking up your marriage, and planting more trees to counteract the effects of the concentrated air biscuits. Plus, the money raised from taxing all that anal applause will go back into research and farm support services, creating a fart economic perpetual motion machine that if you had it back in the 70s could have powered a city on John Belushi movies alone. Now, of course, in the world of fart-conomics, there's bound to be some blowback. Okay, oh, that one, okay, that was too far, okay. Farmers are concerned that this will put the burden of fighting global warming on them. But according to Andrew Hoggard, president of the Federated Farmers of New Zealand, and a dairy farmer himself, so he knows the pain of wandering through clouds of cornhole clappers on a daily basis, quote, "We've been working with the government and other organizations on this for years to get an approach that won't shut down farming in New Zealand. So we signed off on a lot of stuff and we're happy with it. And yeah, tossing a tithe on fizzlers isn't going to solve the big problem for good. Fracking is a fucker, by the way, never forget that. But it will help us buy some time." Quote, "Basically, if we manage to stop emitting methane today, by the end of this century, emissions would be down to natural levels that they were in 1750, says Professor Peter Thorne, who's an author from the IPCC, or Governmental Panel on Climate Change, if you're nasty. And climate scientists believe that, quote, if methane emissions were cut by 40 to 45% over the next decade, you'd shave 0.3 centigrade, that's 37 Fahrenheit, off the increase in global temperatures by 2040. So yeah, it's not a perfect plan, but at least tossing a tax on ass wind is a something. And we're not just sitting around sniffing our whiffers. That's the poop. It's not just a load of hot air. Everyone's got something to offer the dinner table of opinions, but them's the facts. That's the science. Humans, with any luck, we got a lot of years to figure each other out in the coming up, even if it didn't feel like we make it past 2020. We're still here. We're still chewing the fat, battling the breeze, and shooting the shit. But the air is getting a little foggy these days, I don't know if you've noticed, and it's getting a little thick with bullshit because everyone's getting letting loose. So, let's open the fucking windows, turn on the central, kick the box fan, and let the winds of truth blow away heresies and clear the airs, which are now full trouble indeed. Because we're all in this room together, so fuck your comment section. Now's not the time for opinions. Tax the farts and let's move on. I love you. Good night.